Good evening. Hi, this is Susan Campfield from SueStampfield.com. Thanks so much for tuning in tonight. Tonight we're going to make a fun fold card that's got a real wow on the inside. So I'm super excited to show you how to make this card. We're going to walk through it together and I think you'll really like it. It's made with the poppies, the Poppy Moment dies, which are, you can see on my up here in the corner. I just love these, and I know a lot of you have purchased these, so why not another fun project that you can make with them. I'm going to go ahead and flip the camera and we'll go ahead and get started. Hold on here, you're going to see my ceiling for just a moment. Well, stick my finger in there and get it going the right way. Let me clip the camera into my stand here and slide back. Hey Carol, hey Jean, hey Jean. Watching from North Dakota, awesome. Kathy's here, fantastic. Thanks so much for tuning in, guys. So tonight we're going to make this fun fold card. So the outside is beautiful with that poppy. Again, I don't like to, with something this gorgeous, I don't like to have a whole lot else going on. I just went with the Honeybee Designer Series paper, which is a free celebration choice, just the bold black and white stripes there to really make that flower pop and be the focal point. And then the fun fold, the fun part of this card is when you open it up. Are you ready? Are you guys ready? Okay, so when you open it up, it pops out. Isn't that fun? So just open it up and you can see these just jump right out at you, right like this. So it's kind of like an accordion in there. And I'm calling this the 4-square pop-up card. All 4 squares don't actually pop up. It's the center 2 that pop. And there's a little trick to make them come out like that towards you and not just stay flat and go in with to stay like the regular card. So can't wait to share this one with you. So you guys ready? Let's walk through it. So I'm going to go ahead and put this aside. So we are using the Poppy Moments bundle, Peaceful Moments bundle, I guess I should call it. Now, the only place I use the greeting set is in here. These poppies are, I don't want to say there's some confusion because there are 2 stamp sets. There's this poppy stamp set, which is bundled with the painted label dies, which are awesome, super fun. And we have, show you a card with them if I could dig it out. Oh, here it is, found it. So this is using this suite of products. We're using this suite over here. And if you love all of the poppies, which all of my customers are just loving the poppies, you might want to consider getting the whole suite, which is both bundles plus the sequins, the ribbon, the elements, the paper, the whole shebang. That is actually the top selling item out of any of the items in our occasions or in our sorry, they changed the name, the January through June mini catalog. The most popular, the top selling item is actually this whole suite right now. One of the other bundles is actually also a top seller, but the entire thing is the top seller right now. So let's go ahead and get started. Now, I've done a little bit of cheating. Hope that's okay. Hey, Karen, you made it. Yay. I know last time you were sad because you missed the start, so I'm glad you're here. So I did a little bit of cheating, kind of, in that I pre-cut the flowers, and I think I have the leaf cut somewhere floating around here. But we are going to cut one item. Hold on, let me grab another. I have another leaf too. Now I changed my mind on the color. On this one, I did Old Olive as the background and Pear Pizzazz as the layer. On this one, I'm doing Pear Pizzazz as the background, and I went with a brighter green, the garden green, as the layer piece. So the poppies themselves are real red with Poppy Parade as the accent there, and then of course basic black. So oh, hey, there's that other leaf. I told you it was there somewhere. I knew as soon as I pulled another one out I would find it, right? So as I mentioned, let me show you another little sample, another 4-square pop-up sample. This is a mini version of this one, and it's with the Honeybee I'm not saying that right. Yeah, the Honeybee bundle, and then the Golden Honey Designer Series paper, which is where this one comes from, this pattern. So this one opens up like this, and you've got your little hello in there. Very simple. This one, it's just the Designer Series paper as the squares with a little greeting in there. So you can, you can decorate these squares any way you want. You can do the Designer Series paper like I did, or, have options. You have options, right? So let's walk through this. We're going to cut this one. I've got the other items cut, but this one is a really cool die. That's a peek through die. So it's going to cut that. It's kind of like a laser cut paper almost, but it comes from a die. So that's this die right here. And I know it doesn't look like much on the die, but boy, it sure is a wow when you finish it up. And we're going to add a little sequin action to that. Now, if you don't want to do a lot of die cutting, if you need a quicker card or you don't have a die cutting machine, don't forget that this suite has this great item, which is the Poppy Elements. And so you can these are pre-die cut, pre-done, pre-colored, ready to go. You just pop them out, and then you could make that be your element on your card if you were, wanting to do a quicker version. Hope that makes sense. So let's go ahead and get started, and I'll tell you all of the measurements here so that you can just go crazy and make lots of these 4-square pop-up cards. So we're going to start. I'm going to die cut that piece in a little bit, but let's go ahead and put our card together. So the base of your card is a 4 1/4 by 11, and it's scored at 5 1/2. That's nothing new. It's just like a vertical fold card. So let's grab the bone folder here, give that a crease. And then on the outside, we're putting in the piece of the Designer Series paper with the Golden Honey. You can see the gold and the bees on the other side here, but we just want that nice neutral stripe on the front. This piece is 2 3/4 by 4 inches. So I've got that on the front. Let's go to the inside here. On the inside, we're going to add 2 pieces of Poppy Parade, and these are 4 inches by 5 1/4. And these are going to play a very important part in this card because they're going to be a guide for us. So I'm going to just take a minute to make sure that I have an even border all the way around. You can be off a little bit. That's not going to make a huge difference, but I want to get it as close as I can here to centered. So again, I'm just stopping to check and make sure I've got that even border all the way around. There we go. Okay, so that's the inside of our card. And now I have a piece of basic black cardstock. This one is, I look at my cheat sheet here, this is 1 3/8 by 11 inches long, and it's scored at 2 3/4, 5 1/2, and then 8 1/4. And that is our accordion fold piece. So I'm going to go ahead and give that a crease here with the bone folder. And this is going to be our pop-up mechanism. And we want to put this in our card, but we want to put it in a very specific spot. So if you put this, just stretch it all the way edge to edge, it's not going to pop up. It's going to lay flat, and when you close the card, it's going to stay flat. We don't want that. We want it to pop up. So we actually don't want it flat. We're going to put it in there already arced up like this, okay? That way when it closes, it will stay that way, and when we open it, it will stay that way. So we already have a built-in guide for that, and that's that Poppy Parade edge, okay? So I'm going to take some snail adhesive. I'm going to put a fair amount of snail adhesive on here because I do not want this to move. You could also use tear and tape if you wanted something a little bit stronger. So I've got that taped down, and again, I lined it up with the edge of the Poppy Parade, not with the edge of the card. And then I'm going to go ahead and burnish it with bone folder. That's going to activate that adhesive, and that's going to stick really well. Now I'm going to go over here, and again, I'm going to add copious amounts of snail adhesive to this piece. You could also use multi-purpose liquid glue if that is your favorite. So we're going to keep that mountain going in the middle. I don't want it flat, and I'm going to line it up with this outside edge right there, not all the way to the outside, but to the edge of the Poppy Parade. And then again, I'm going to burnish that with the bone folder. Okay, so then we've got that mechanism that's going to give us the pop. This card, the smaller version, did it exactly the same way. Obviously, these pieces are all smaller, but I lined it up with the white, with that inside layer. So it's about 1/8 of an inch in from the edge. If you aren't doing an inside layer, you'd need to just kind of measure it to make sure you're in 1/8 of an inch. And you'll know because it will be, it won't be flat. It'll be mountained up just like that. But it's a lot easier if you put a layer on the inside. It really gives you a great guide. So now we're ready to decorate. How easy was that? And we're going to go with some easy and some a little more fancy squares in our card because we get to do 4. I don't know why I have 5 here because I only need 4. So these are 2 1/4 by 2 1/4. That's the measurement on the outside square, and then I'm going to decorate them with pieces that are cut 2 by 2. So I'm going to use, for this one, I'm using a little bit different paper. So this one I had this pattern of the poppy paper, and for this one I'm using a different pattern. This paper is so gorgeous. There's a lot of options in that pack, and it just goes beautifully with this. So right, Karen, is easier than, like, you look at it and you go, oh, that's hard. That's going to be too hard. But what's cool about that is it's not that hard, but the recipient of this card thinks you worked really hard, right? So they're going to be really appreciative of this card, and it's going to be one of those showstoppers, which is fun. And of course, they can just stand it up like this to display it on their desk or whatever. So we've got our first 2 squares done, pretty easy. Now, when I stick these squares on, the location of the adhesive doesn't really matter. These 2 outside squares don't move. But when I put on these 2 squares, it's pretty important where I put the adhesive because I only want to adhere it to that arm piece in the middle. I don't want it to stick to the card because then I'm going to glue my card closed, which would be a real bummer. So these 2 squares, I'm only going to want to adhere to that arm piece. So I'm going to go ahead and stick these on. And again, this one, it doesn't matter. I'm putting adhesive everywhere. If you didn't trust yourself, you could just put it in the middle on these 2, just so that you're in the zone, right? So that you don't inadvertently glue your card closed. But we can fix everything, right? You could get it back up and you could take that adhesive off or start over, but we'll try to not do that. So now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to just set this aside for a second here and do a quick die cut. Let's grab the die cutting machine here, and I usually die cut at a separate location in my craft room here. It's on the other side of the room, but for videos I like to bring it over here so you can see it. Plus it's way too messy over there, so I don't want you looking over there. All right, so I'm gonna just put this, it like super doesn't matter where you put it. I'm just going to angle it across there. So it looks different every time, and that's just totally fine. Now this one is pretty detailed, so you may actually prefer to cut this one. Got the magnetic platform on here, which I probably don't really need. You can actually cut it the other way, where you're putting it cutting edge up, and if you put it over on the outside edge, I find I often get a better cut that way. So crank it through here. And on these really detailed dies, sometimes that is the better way to go. Or if you have a die that's you're having a little trouble getting a good cut, try doing cutting edge up and you'll get a better result. So I'm just going to poke out these little pieces because, silly me, I didn't bring my die brush over here. Okay, that came out pretty easy. So this is that peek through part. So we're going to put this, put a piece of real red behind it, and then we're going to add some sequins to get those looking more like flowers. So I'm going to set the die cutting machine down because I don't need that anymore. And I'm just going to take, you know what, I'm just going to grab a sponge and some liquid glue here. This is the multi-purpose liquid glue. And, woo, got a little bit more than I needed. That's why I'm using a sponge. I'm kind of a little bit wild when it comes to liquid glue. You gotta watch me. So I'm just going to sponge some of this on the back of this piece. I could put snail on those more solid parts, but the parts that are the lacy flowers, and you do want to hold this in place. And I have a scrap paper under here so that it doesn't slide around. I'm holding it in place because I don't want glue on the front. Of course, then I slid it, but I think we're fine. And I'm just going to adhere that down. And this is a 2x2 going on a 2x2, so in theory it should fit exactly in place. And then now we're going to make those flowers stand out. Got glue on my thumb, which is kind of par for the course, right? Somewhere around here. Oh, here they are. So these are the Peaceful Poppy sequins, and we're going to find just I just want to fish out some of the black sequins. Actually, you could use any color you wanted. I prefer the black. Hold on. I'm going to grab some glue dots. Fingers crossed that they aren't all downstairs. Oh, nope. Most of mine are downstairs. I just had a big event this Saturday, and not everything has made it back to its proper home yet. So I'm just going to grab a brand new roll here, and I'm going to grab a sequin out of here. It will work better if I use my tool here to pick these up. And I'm just going to lay it on there. I want several here. Seem to be only getting the flowery ones. I guess that's okay. There's one that's not a flower. Whoops. Sequins everywhere. And whoopsie, you come back here. All right, so I've just got 3 sequins there. I'm going to switch to the other end of my Take Your Pick tool. Really love this thing. I know I say that every video because I use it every video, don't I? And we're just going to add that to the center of those flowers so that the flowers stand out a little bit more and look more flower-like. That makes sense. Because of where I cut this, I almost actually could do with one more sequin. Let's put another one there, shouldn't we? I think we should. I need to nip off a little bit on my putty end of my tool here so that it will pick up a little bit better there. Beautiful. As that putty gets less sticky, you just need to nip off a little bit, and then it does come with a refill. So no need to hoard your putty. You've got a whole nother refill. So there we have our little piece that's going to go on the inside. This is one of the cards that we made at my team meeting, and we also made it at my technique club this past month. So we need to layer it onto our piece of black. But can you see that those look like more like flowers now when you put those centers in there? So let's add some snail on the back. And I'm sorry if I've missed any questions that you have. I will go back through and answer any questions that I see. So we've got those. And then our other little square is this white one right here. And for that one, we're going to stamp the words Happy Birthday. This greeting comes from, again, the Peaceful Moment stamp set that is bundled with this set. And I'm going to stamp it near the bottom of this square because I'm going to add a poppy above it. So, got our Happy Birthday on there. I should be making this a thank you card because this is the card I'm sending out this week for any orders, the online orders that are placed. So my other ones, I'll have to, well, I guess I can always send a birthday card, right? And because everybody needs birthday cards. So I'm going to go ahead and just add this flower. Now again, I pre-die cut this one. This one is the Real Red, the Poppy Parade with a little bit of black in the center. Now, normally I'm a big dimensional girl. I like to pop up everything, but this one I do not want to pop up because it's inside the card and I want the card to be flat when it's closed. So I'm going to add some glue dots here to adhere it, and I'm just going to add 2 at the bottom and 1 kind of in the middle-ish. It is going to be coming off of that square a little bit. So again, I don't want to stick my card closed. So I'm just going to kind of angle it right here in the corner. Okay, and again, I don't want to put adhesive all over on this. I just want to put it in the center, or if you're nervous, you can actually just put it on here. Doesn't matter as long as you don't put it here or here, right? We only want it stuck to that arm piece. And I'm just taking a second here to make sure it's even with the other, somewhat even with the other squares, right? And then I didn't put this one on yet, so let's do that. I just want to double check, find where my middle is. I find snail works better for me if I do it in little 1/2-inch pieces. It's really not made to do long strings, and sometimes you get some gooey adhesive that muck up the mechanism. So I find it best to do it in little increments. So there we have our card. Now you might be wondering, well, Susan, that's great. Oh, we got to put our flower on the front. Now this one we can pop up with a dimensional. And in fact, I popped up the little center. I don't know, can you see that? Let me bring my light over. I popped up the center with a mini black dimensional. The black dimensionals were in our holiday catalog, and they actually have carried over. So they are still available. And when I'm working on black cardstock like this, I like to use them. And I'm going to go ahead and pop the whole thing up because I love having that dimension. It's just I didn't want it on the inside. And then we're also going to add our leaf. And then I'm going to tell you how we're going to have a place to write in this card, because no worries, we will have a place to write if you're wondering about that. So I'll share that with you in just a second, but let's go ahead and get the front finished here. So I'm just going to angle that. That's going to come in right there. And then this one I'm also going to put on a dimensional. Might as well use a black dimensional. The nice thing about the black dimensionals, when you order them, you get the full size and the minis in the same package, so you don't have to order 2 separate items. So pop that off. And we're going to just bring those right in here. And then I have the advantage, if they're looking at the card from the edge, they don't see white dimensionals there. So there we have our card. But oh my goodness, we need somewhere to write a note, right? Well, that's where the back is going to come in. Sorry, I had done a bunch of white embossing, and I've got white embossing powder all over my desk. It's picking up on the black cardstock. So the place to sign the card is going to be on the back, and that's actually where we're going to put our inside message. And then also added a little strip of Designer Series paper on the back there, just to kind of tie it all together with what's in the inside part. Does that make sense? So this will be your place that you want to sign your name and write your message. If you wanted to put this, if you're more wordy than I am, like inside of cards, I like write love and my name. That's usually about all I do. So I don't like to leave a lot of room, but some people like to write more than that. So if that's the case, you can either eliminate the Designer Series paper or put it at the top, and that gives you a little more room to write. So that is the 4-square pop-up card. It is really easy, and we're using some pretty detailed dies here, so that makes it a little bit more involved, but you don't have to do that, right? You can just do it with, fun Designer Series paper like the Golden Honeybee and make it very quick and easy. So, and again, you remember, you always have that option to use the Poppy Elements, which are pre-done, ready to go. They come with like vellum ones that you could color if you want, plus these and all these banners and all these fun things. But that would just be another way to do it a little bit faster than the detailed Poppy Moment dies. So I'm going to just flip the camera here. Thanks so much for joining me tonight. I will be doing a blog post about this, and I'll have all of these dimensions I mentioned in the video in the blog post so that you can go back and make lots of these fun cards, or you can just watch the video again and just pause it where you want to write down those sizes. Thanks so much for tuning in tonight. Take care, and I'll see you next week. Bye-bye.